What's going on, guys, and welcome back. Happy Monday. Today, we're going to be talking about the OTA patch that just happened. Silver Surfer, Jean Grey a week later, and our thoughts on the card. We're also talking Spotlight caches, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the things we like, the things that need to change, and the things that we absolutely hate, as well as taking a look into August Spotlight caches and recommending the ones we like the most, the ones we would go all in for, and the ones we would avoid. We're going to talk about all that today and more on this episode of the Snapchat. And as always, I am joined by Mr. Alex Coccia, the zoo animal hater, the man himself. What's going on, man? How you doing? We've got, the new card acquisition system. It's mid-July. It's Comic-Con week. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Cozy, and I don't know where I'm getting this reputation as like being an animal hater. I love animals. I love animals so much. I love them of all shapes and sizes, even the smallest, most minute animals, climbing trees, eating nuts. Comic-Con is an absolutely wild beast that I can't wait to watch from afar. I'm not making it out this year. Maybe next year, Cozy, maybe next year. But what I will say is that we've had some of the biggest updates ever to Marvel Snap. It's not perfect, but it's a huge step in the right direction. And as always, it's a wonderful time to be a Marvel Snap player.
Listen, I went to the zoo, and it was so sad that I had to look at all these D and F tier animals. I forgive you for saying that elephants are not F tier. They're C tier in your book.
C tier.
But I have to tell my son, like, hey, by the way, the co-host of my podcast absolutely hates these animals, and you made him cry, and then it was a whole thing. I tried to order you 24 months of zoo books, but then you told me you don't even know what zoo books are.
No, I've never heard of zoo books before.
No way. What about Zoo Pals, the plates from the 90s?
No,
Zoo Pals make eating fun? No, nothing?
It might be like an American thing.
You listen, I didn't realize that the entire community would gang together against Alex. There's a couple squirrel lovers out there and stuff, and we got some tier lists to cook up in the weeks to come. I got some good ideas here. Dude, I got to start with this. We're going to talk about Echo. We got some good subjects on your side of the channel. Dude, did you see that Post Malone, you know who Post Malone is over there in Canada?
Yeah, the Sunflower song.
Exactly. He's playing Marvel Snap. He's a Marvel Snapper.
Really? Well, that makes sense. I mean, he obviously likes Spider-Man. He did like the theme song of Into the Spideyverse. And I got to tell you, I've thought about this in the past. You told me, like, Into the Spideyverse, the soundtrack's amazing. I was like, nah, the soundtrack's not that good. It's fine. I just like the movie. Now that I'm listening carefully, the soundtrack is amazing. And that song is incredible. My kids love it. So it's cool to hear the Post Malone's playing some Marvel Snap.
Isn't it cool that, like, who all plays Marvel Snap out there? It's such a wild thing that because it's a mobile game first, right? Like that, there's so many. There's a lot of people that play Snap, and we never know. Like Eddie Murphy could play Marvel Snap.
Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian's a snapper. She's a Living Tribunal player. You told me.
Really? That's you know what? I can see that being like nice. He's gold, right? He's jacked.
Ripped,
makes sense.
Yoked. Yeah, dude. Anyway, it's so cool. It's cool to see. I know that Post played like Magic a lot, but it's cool to see that. I saw that on Twitter. I'm like, all right, maybe we'll get him as a co-host here on the Snapchat. But we know what we're talking about on this side of the channel. We got some good conversation, a lot of stuff directed towards the Spotlight caches. What are we talking about on your side, buddy?
We're going to be talking about some free-to-play friendly decks that like usually don't include any Series 4 or 5 cards, or maybe just like a recent Series 4 or 5 card, and generally cards you can get to Infinite with that you don't have to break the bank for. Free-to-play decks that'll get you where you got to go. Then we're talking about archetypes that need love. There are some archetypes in Marvel Snap that could use a little bit of love, and we're going to discuss those. And then finally, my favorite subject is going to be the top 10 surprise cards that are going to win you cubes in Marvel Snap right now, because I'm telling you, Cozy, there are some cards out there that'll take your opponents by surprise and absolutely rob them of their cubes.
Well, dude, let's go and we'll start before we get to these subjects. Let's talk Echo. Echo comes out today, and I think there's a lot about the card, a lot of opinions, and Echo is definitely a card that I think is a little bit, just a small bit, being overlooked. I don't think she's going to be absolutely incredible. We have known from this past week how careful you have to be with Spotlight caches. But what are your kind of immediate thoughts on Echo, the new card, as we kind of kick off our subjects here?
I am so torn on Echo. Like, it's one of those cards I really am not sure what to think. Like, at my heart of hearts, the person who's been playing thousands of hours of Marvel Snap for an entire year would indicate that, like, I don't think this card is very good. I don't think it's going to get lots of play. I don't think it's going to shake up the meta. But there's going to be decks where it is a absolute top tier card. There's going to be moments where it can steal a game. There's going to be moments where it does exactly what it needs to do. It's just so niche. And the thing that kind of concerns me about Echo, Cozy, is that like there are so many one drops, especially at the 1-2 stat line, that have like an immediate impact, like an Iceman, for instance. Like it can be hard to play something like this, which feels very defensive.
I mean, for a guy that plays Howard the Duck, I'm like, oh, another one cost and I'm going to fit in a lot of decks. I think Echo is going to be exactly what you said. Good in decks that people are not expecting. Conquest, I think, is going to be Echo's easily best spot, because even if they do have something like Cosmo, Echo is going to shut them down. Altogether, I think Echo is going to probably feel best with Wong. Obviously, we've talked about this. These on-reveal decks, man. I mean, yeah, Enchantress, she doesn't really exist right now. I'm not seeing any Enchantress. Even I think Lammy was talking about that. He went on a tear with just ongoing decks because Enchantress is not being played that much. And so having this as a layer of protection, and there's really nothing you can do. Once you have the Wong and Echo down, I think it's going to be too late. She's only one cost, so you can play her on, you can play her on turn 5 with Wong and then Echo, and then, maybe you can play whatever you want on turn 6. Too late for them to do anything about it. She's going to have the uses.
It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. And it's like, for me, this is clearly a tech card to some degree. It's just, for me, one cost has become so competitive. It's such a competitive spot in Marvel Snap right now. And this feels like, outside of a few very niche combos, it'll feel kind of cuttable. And I think that there's going to come a deck down the line. It might not be this month. It might not be next month. But there's going to come a point where Echo is going to be an absolute incredible enabler. But until that moment, I feel like it gets outclassed by some of the other one-drops. But I'm still excited to test it, and I hope to be proven wrong.
I mean, we're going to talk about archetypes that need some love, and I think that she's going to help on reveal. I do think that's going to be one of her purposes of coming to the game. Echo as a character is a bit more, it's a bit of a weird card for what she does, in my opinion, as far as just like lore goes, or flavor is what I like to talk about. Now, there's a lot of weird things with Echo. If you guys don't know, first of all, it's a consistent kind of neutralizer. As they continue to play ongoing cards, it's not a one-time thing. She's going to keep on killing those ongoing cards. If they move those ongoing cards to another location, doesn't matter. If they bounce it back, doesn't matter. They're going to still be kind of, they're going to be stripped of their ability. Funny enough, if they're stripped from their ability, Patriot will be able to buff them up. So she has like a lot of weird interactions, if you will. But yeah, she's going to be the most cuttable card in most decks. And I'm just excited for... Listen, I'm a combo guy, and so I think naturally she gives another layer of protection to more greedy decks. All right, so Alex, let's get to our first subject with that Echo conversation in mind. And we're going to talk about this last week's new card, the OTA. We had Gambit, Nakia, a little bit of Mystique, if you could even say that. And then High Evo got a slight little nerf. Let's go through them. Let's talk about what our opinions are, kind of the review and the recap. And I think we got to start with Jean Grey. I think that's where we got to get things going. Jean Grey, I definitely have plenty of things to say about the card. Want to hear from you first, though, just like initial impressions of Jean Grey.
My initial impressions, I love the card. I like it. I like it because it works perfectly in one of my absolute favorite archetypes, which is Silver Surfer. It's the archetype I cannot stop playing as a content creator and as someone who just loves the game. I think it works extremely well in control, but I do think that, like, obviously the bounce factor kind of limits its capabilities a little bit. I love the art. I love the kind of lore implications on how the card works. I think it's an outstanding release. And the thing I like the most about it is that it doesn't feel broken. I thought it was going to be way more oppressive than it ultimately has been. It's just a good card, and that's a beautiful thing.
It's funny. I think the majority of people have been saying it's underwhelming, it sucks, it's mid, it's bad, and I don't know. I think that's hilarious. So if you were to vote 1 through 5 stars right now, what do you give it?
I'm giving it a 4. I like it. I've been playing a lot of it, and I think it's way better than people are giving it credit for. I think that the meta right now really works against it. Kitty Pryde is one of the absolute best cards in the game, and Kitty Pryde slaps Jean Grey in the face. That's not Jean's fault. It's not, you know what I mean?
So I give it a 3.5, but it has the potential to be a 4.5 once this kind of meta has cleared its way on. Yeah, we are in the worst possible meta right now for Jean Grey, the worst possible, and even then, it's still a pretty good card. I'm seeing so many decks not being created with Jean Grey. Yes, Silver Surfer, bro. That's the most obvious. I'd even make a video on it because of how, it's good. It's good. And we'll talk about Nakia in a moment. It's really good with Nakia, too. Nakia gave a nice little boost to Surfer. But on top of that, she's working with, individual cards that people are just not giving enough credit. I want to say if we had kind of a hot rising cards right now or our favorites or whatever, dude, if you haven't tried it, Alex, you got to give some love to Mojo. Mojo, God, this is such an ugly picture. Mojo with Jean Grey is fantastic. You are getting the 8 pop off most of the time.
It's amazing. You're right. And like Mojo works wonderfully. And I like the idea now that people are not like using Brute. People are like, oh, just use Brute and get out of there. You don't do that. Like Mojo's great. And you can often just throw one card in there and play elsewhere. It's not a big deal. In Silver Surfer, you often have something like a Nova that you can play and then play elsewhere or whatever. One card that I think is unreal, and it's similar to Mojo, where it has like, well, I think Mojo's a little more like straightforward, right?
Yeah.
But there's a card that in my testing has been ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous with Jean Grey, and it's Polaris. And there's a reason for this. And I know this might take people by surprise, but the nice thing about Polaris, and I'm going to switch my pronunciation so, you know, both sides can just get mad at me. But Polaris is awesome because if you play Polaris on turn 5, usually you have a tech card, like in Silver Surfer, you have like a 2-cost tech you can play with a 3-drop on 5, if you're not playing Sarah, of course. When you play Polaris, you're pulling one of their cards out of the Jean Grey location, which basically forces them 90% of the time to have to play again into the Jean Grey location on turn 6. They might not be ready for that. They might have played their entire earlier hands trying to make sure that, okay, this location's stopped, I can now play where I want to, and then you Polaris on turn 5, you pull a card out from there because they probably have a 1 or 2 drop in there, and suddenly they have to deal with Jean Grey again on turn 6. I have won so many retreat wins because people are just like, the stupid Polaris, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, dude, it's so crazy. Like, you can use her on one location or you can take cards away. Great. I like Polaris. I think that's definitely a good sleeper pick there. Obviously, you know, even Nightcrawler getting a little bit of a return here. I mean, I think he hasn't been bad for me. Jeff, naturally. And then you fill those up early. And then, bro, you said it last week. Spider-Man, when you've already had that location filled, it is so good because then you can take those cards like Nightcrawler and Jeff, move it to the Spider-Man lane if you need to kind of just get it a little bit bigger, and then they're kind of screwed. You have a much bigger chance to win. Dude, I love Gamora. The Guardians have been fantastic with their... I've been using a Guardians deck that I love. I'll have a guide on that later. And then one other one, outside of like obvious, I think, like Cosmo's good, Armor's good, these cards that kind of give you a little bit more wiggle room. Bro, if you have it filled with like a Jeff, I love Arrow. Now, let me tell you why. Because they're playing one card, and you now know whatever their other card is, or if they have multiple. If it's balanced, it's not as good, right? But the fact that you can kind of get down Jean, maybe a little bit later with Arrow, and then you pull both of those cards to a lane, this is definitely a sleeper pick for Jean as well.
I like the idea that Arrow has had these like very niche but extremely powerful kind of like resurgence moments here. This isn't one of like the most slept on cards in Snap right now. Like I think Arrow, I think you're right to identify that like Bounce is taking a little bit of Arrow's lunch right now. But like legitimately, it's a great card, and I love what you're saying with this interaction with Jean Grey.
Bro, it's a little... We can cut to that real quick. Let's go from... listen, guys, Jean Grey, I like her. I think she's going to get better over time. I think she's going to be not Daredevil status, but kind of right there. Just a good control card. One that's going to get played plenty and is going to get better over time, especially because we're about to enter this crazy... Dude, I just released new card video. Crazy destroy meta we're about to enter. And Jean, we didn't talk about that. Dude, shuts down a big old Venom. You don't even have to worry about Arnim Zola anymore. Like, she has some really cool, like, smaller uses against other decks, whereas Bounce is good against her. And so Jean Grey is great. I want to shift to Bounce for a second. Listen, I don't even know if... I know they're addressing Bounce. They're looking into ways to get through that. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be shocked if it wasn't this next OTA. I still think it's kind of crazy that they even made it one more week past High Evo. I do think, and you know, listen, people deserve time off. I think they went on their break and that was it. And like they kind of submitted what they had, and Bounce got away with another week, man. Bounce is good, man. Bounce is good. There's a couple, you know, culprits at that too.
I think Bounce is solidified itself at the top. There's no question about it. It is the top deck. And there's a couple things working for its advantage. Like I think that the crazy thing about Bounce that people don't really give it credit for is that like it puts an insane amount of points. It's like a point slam deck now. Like it just throws up insane vertical points. Like to the point that like I don't think it was ever designed to do that. Like a Hitmonkey throwing up the points it's doing. You know, Bishop getting as high as it is. You have Kitty Prides that are like, you know, insanely powerful. Like, and it has this mobility, the initiative dodging. I mean, I'm a Silver Surfer believer, and so I'm doing the Invisible Woman style Killmonger play, so I am dealing with it okay. But it is absolutely an insane deck.
And yeah, dude, the point slamming is ridiculous. The point slamming is truly nuts. It can get Hitmonkey, dude, just pumps out so much numbers. Who do you think's the #1 corporate in the deck? Is it Kitty? Is it Hitmonkey?
I am not sure. Hitmonkey feels like it's putting up an insane amount of power. I almost want to say Mysterio could be problematic, but it's a very niche problematic card. Like, if you think about the amount of power Mysterio puts out on turn 5 or 6.
Yeah, but the board space. The board space, though. That's what I feel.
Board space. But, okay, so you bast a Mysterio, right? So it's basically a mini Doctor Doom now. Now that Doctor Doom... It's better than Doctor Doom now, in my opinion, at 2 cost. 2 cost, 3/3/3, and then you're giving 3 to Bishop. You're giving a proc to Angela for +2, right? You're giving an additional 6 power to Hitmonkey. Like, how much power is one card putting out? Like, I don't want to say Mysterio's the problem, because I know you love Mysterio. I can see you just clenching. You're like, no, Alex, do not convince them to nerf Mysterio. But Mysterio is actually a major cog in this, like, kind of overpowered wheel.
Yeah, but you got to get Bishop down to get him procced up. Angela, I get it, but then it's technically a 3, by the way. You have to play Bass to even get that 3. So, I do understand. It's funny when you look at it and compare it to the Doctor Doom. I will say that, because Doom's like 4 bots now, and that's 3, and it's significantly less. It's half, right? But altogether, I think the board space makes sense. For me, it's Kitty Pryde, dude. Kitty Pryde's the problem. I'm not saying they need to completely nerf and destroy Kitty Pryde. That's what I would expect to happen, would be Kitty Pryde. I've seen things float around, like maybe Bass, maybe they do something. I don't really know what you do there, because you can kill that card very easily. Hitmonkey is a delicate card. You got to be careful. It's season pass. Some people may have just got it. I'm pretty sure Hitmonkey is not in the spotlight caches that we talked about. I think maybe September is when we're going to see him. But anyway, Bounce, yeah, survived a week. Let's talk about High Evolutionary. Do you think the nerfs did a lot?
I don't think they did a lot, but they're a good first step. I think that Wasp was extremely problematic. I think Wasp and Cyclops were the two. Those were the two big offenders. Cyclops dodged the nerf. Wasp got it. The Wasp nerf makes perfect sense. The change to Hulk, a little bizarre. I wasn't expecting that, but again, makes sense to a degree. I think they needed to target Wasp, and I think they're expecting to see, okay, let's see if that takes a little bit of heat off. And then if they have to make further changes, they probably will.
I'm fine with the whole change. It just isn't the change I would make. I think it was a weird change. I understand why they wanted to target Hulk, who was clearly a winner in all this, but I just thought it was like, oh man, it's even more confusing now. Like, they got rid of ongoing, so we have to all remember that now. And then the point counting, I think, hurt it a ton, man. Like, it made it so much harder to go up against in Conquest, and I've done it. You can't count the turns they skip anymore. But yeah, I do think, as all nerfs do, it made people play the deck just a little less, which always feels good. But now everybody's kind of turning their attention to Bounce. So either way, I'll say that there's plenty of decks that are doing well in the meta. Bounce is a clear favorite. And then you have probably High Evolutionary, and then there's like, 5 or 6 or 7 that fall into that. Sure, we're going to talk about that over on your side as well. Gambit and Nakia. Let's start with Nakia, who I think is probably the winner of the patch. I think Nakia doesn't have her exact home, but I do think she's going to be... you're a Surfer guy. Dude, I think she's just a natural fit. Why would you not want her in a Surfer deck?
She works really well in Surfer. She does. I played a ton of games with Nakia over the past week. There's some good and there's some bad. The good thing about her is obviously you have immediate synergy with Brood, right? The amazing thing about that is if you hit Nakia on Brood and Surfer, you go from basically like, a 14 power play to an 18 power play on turn 6 if you Brood and Surfer in one location. Like, just do the math on that for a second. That, like, we talk about Hulk being problematic. On turn 6, let's say you Spider-Man one location on turn 5, right? Which is kind of the new meta right now. Spider-Man turn 5, Surfer decks, awesome. On turn 6, you can Brood and you can Silver Surfer, one location. And that's vertical. And if they're hit by Nakia, it's beautiful. It's beautiful how much power you can output.
Surfer, the biggest problem I'm seeing with Surfer, and it's only going to get worse. We're getting more 3-cost cards that are going to funnel into Surfer forever now. People try to hold on to a Surfer package they were doing without shifting to a new one. Like, I'm going to keep saying it. People that think Dazzler doesn't have a place in Surfer, I'm just confused by it. I think she does. I think that you can't hold on to Juggernaut, Storm, whatever package. You have to shift to another. You have to build a deck around with this purpose. And I think that's kind of where Nakia is going to fit more so than, like, the Juggernaut control style of Surfer. Yeah, I've seen the Spider-Man get pretty popular lately. I still think Sarah Surfer's ballin'. I love Sarah Surfer. But overall, Nakia feels pretty good. Gambit. Here's the thing. I love the change to Gambit because people are like, oh my God, they got rid of my favorite thing. I get there was a few people playing this. I haven't gotten hit myself with a Gambit combo in 6 months. Myself. Have you played a lot of Gambit players towards you in a while?
No, what I will say though is one of my most viewed videos is a Gambit,
You're short,
like full board OTA, like OTK, sorry, complete smoke show of a play with like the old broken like Onslaught Wong Mystique Gambit style play, and it had to go. Like it was so broken. They did address it a little bit. They changed the Onslaught interaction. They changed the Onslaught math.
But no one used it, is what I'm saying. That video was popular 6 months ago. Yeah, like no one's played that in a while, and so like, I think it affected a couple of people. But you weren't winning with those decks. So, like, I do think it was a net overall win for Gambit, even though it doesn't maybe feel like it. And there's some cool, like, Ghost Rider decks now, you know? You know what my opinion is on Gambit? Because I played a good amount of them. We're in a very flood meta at the moment. A lot of flood decks right now. There's a lot of cards that can be Gambit. If we enter kind of like a Shuri big card, meaty meta, or this Destroy meta where there's just a couple big knolls and then Gambit, I think has a lot more use.
Buddy, okay, you are talking the right talk. I love what you're saying right now because, okay, I've been playing so much Gambit and Nakia over the last few days. I am so ready. So, okay, right now, you're right. There's tons of board space getting flooded. And Thanos is making a resurgence because I think I know somebody who got together with a championship level player and decided to make a video about Thanos. And sure enough, Thanos is back in the meta. And you know what destroys Thanos? Killmonger. Listen to this. Silver Surfer, Invisible Woman, right? You play Killmonger, then you play Gambit, and then you play Silver Surfer on that Invisible Woman lane. You know what happens? With Killmonger, you wipe out all the small stuff, and then on turn 6, when obviously at the end of the game it reveals, Gambit smokes a bigger thing, so all the small stuff's gone, a bigger thing gets smoked, and then you do the buff across the board. If you can use the Invisible Woman to basically clear the board with Killmonger, and then Gambit, you always have something in your hand. Something's getting hit, right? It is a absolute chef's kiss combo. Yep. It's beautiful. And he's a 3/5.
And this is what I'm talking about. I love these Surfer decks that are getting these different... Again, if you want to try these other 3-cost cards, you got to build your decks a little bit different in Surfer. You got to get away from what seems to be like the most obvious 3-cost meta and try something a bit different. Gambit, though, I think he has some spice. He still doesn't really belong in, like, let's say, dependable discard. But, you know, I think he even made Ghost Rider now kind of come back a little bit more. He's fun. He's definitely a fun card now. He's going to get more play, dude. He was getting 1.5% play before the update.
Buddy, I've increased that stat alone the past week. The one thing about Nakia, and I'm asking you, Cozy, I'm asking you this. Imagine this. You're in a game. It's turn 3. You have Storm in your hand. You have Jug in your hand as well. And you have Nakia Brood. What do you do?
If you're doing Sarah Surfer, I play the Nakia. Probably, yeah.
See, that's the thing. I have found... Listen, I love Storm in Surfer. It is one of the most difficult cuts for me. With Legion coming out, maybe it becomes cuttable, by the way, but that's a whole other conversation. With Nakia, though, you have to play her on turn 3 to genuinely have true value. Usually, under most circumstances. You can play her later, but it's not as good. With Storm, like, you want Storm on 3, and then you want Juggernaut and Nova on turn 4.
I was going to say, this deck doesn't have Gene in it, too, because I've seen people, like... You got to pick a lane. You just have to pick a lane. But yes, you are correct. In that case, you always... If you have Brood, then you play Nakia, period. Like, you should be playing Nakia. Those little bit of bonus points is going to go such a long way, dude. You're getting essentially, like, dude, 2 Surf... You're getting 3 points more. I mean, that goes a long way, right? So, or even more so, actually, once it's all said and done. So, yeah, I do think... I think Nakia's dependability, where she's not being used outside of Surfer as well, because I don't want this just to be a Surfing podcast. I get it, though. These are all 3-cost cards. Jean, Nakia, and Gambit. Honestly, man, is Destroy. I've been using... I got a little... again, people are going to be mad because I'm not going to post this video right away. But I've been kind of brewing up a little something. Wouldn't be surprised if we see it come out. Nimrod, obviously, great card to get hit with Nakia, because you get to spread that. It's a Nova, right? And then, of course, Deadpool. Deadpool... Even getting that one little power extra is going to double that, and it's going to continue to go. And I just think it's a card that can naturally fit. You got to be careful in Destroy decks, but turn 3 in Destroy can be a bit of an awkward turn at times. You don't always want to... Now with Nimrod, you don't want to even use Deadlock or Venom yet.
It's kind of crazy how you get a card that is synonymous with just bot play, like the worst bots on the planet. You just change it ever so slightly, make it just... I mean, remember in the beta, this was +2 to everything in your hand. Do you remember those days?
Oh yeah,
crazy,
dude. So good.
Now we're halfway back, and it makes a lot more sense. I'm happy for Nakia. I'm happy for Nakia.
All right, now with that, Alex, we're going to go ahead and transition to our next subject. And this is the next two subjects, guys, is all about Spotlight caches. Now, we're going to talk about, it was kind of hard. Should I do the good, the bad, the ugly first, or should we talk about these? We're going to give our star ratings for the month of August. Now, it's July now. If you want to see my ratings on that, you can check the top right-hand corner. Did a video on this, already said kind of my rankings of all these cards coming out. We've got Echo, we've got Legion, and we've got Mirage. Now, spoiler, even though I gave some decent ratings to some of these, I'm going to say you probably, unless you don't have High Evo and Darkhawk, are going to want to hold on. You're going to want to hold on because August, man, is an absolute banging, crazy of a season. The next two seasons, man, are... Did you end up watching my new card video? I have no idea.
What a stupid question. Buddy, I watch all your videos. Of course I watched your video.
First of all, I love you. Second of all, dude, the Loki season, both seasons are crazy, no?
Yeah, we're getting some really niche but insane cards. Like the Loki's insane. Like Loki, I'm so glad they're doing Loki justice. That card has been changed so many times. I don't even know if I trust the leak yet. Like, you know what I mean? It's been changed so many times. But yeah, I'm actually getting hyped up for September, and I love the fact that like the cards are all Loki. Ravonna is in it as well.
Dude, Ravonna and Mobius.
Oh, there's so many beautiful cards coming out, and like again, they're niche, but I think they're going to be really powerful.
Truly, if you haven't seen Loki Season 1, go watch it. Dead honest, I got to the party late, and it ended up being probably like a top 5 Marvel project of mine. I thought it was so good. I thought it was such a good show. From top to bottom, made me fall in love with a lot of characters. Owen Wilson, they all crush it. And the story, the pacing, it's all good. So anyway, we're going to go and look at the weeks of August. And this is, I'm so glad this is data mineable, because it was going to be tough recommending if people go for these later weeks in July without seeing August in the first week of August. Now, keep in mind, the first week does not have any new cards. And for that first week, Alex, the week of 8/8, it's a long season, man. We got 2 long seasons. We have Galactus, Nimrod, and Spider-Ham. Now, before we go into this, we're going to give this a 1 through 5 star ranking, okay? 1 star is it's a pass. Avoid it at all costs. 2 stars, if you really want the card, 1 card. If you really want 1 card, you can consider it. 3 is there's 1 solid card, maybe a couple decents. 4 is 2 good cards are there. You might as well go for it. And 5 is like, it's a must unlock. Okay, so that's going to be our criteria for those that are listening. For you, Alex, we're going to start with the first one here. And I just want to open up by saying they knew what they were doing. They knew with these variants, man, with these Spotlight variants, exactly what they were doing. This is the 1 week with no new cards. Galactus, Nimrod, Spider-Ham. What are you giving it?
You know what? Honestly, I know this might not be a popular take, but I'm giving it a 4. Because you've got a big bad in Galactus. Say what you want. The hate is real, but you know what? It's a cool card. People want it in their collection. You have Nimrod, which I think is really coming back. It's really coming back. And then Spider-Ham, which is by far the most disruptive card in Conquest right now. This is a very, very good week.
Yeah, so I don't want people to overvalue new cards, but I also want them to appropriately value them and save up, because right now, we're going to get to it in the good, the bad, the ugly on like how many you can even open. And just because I give something a 4 or 5 star doesn't mean like this is the week you buy it. It's just my overall opinions on it. If you don't have Galactus and you want to play Galactus, this is a very good week. This is a very good week. If you're missing 2 of the 3, this is one that I feel like is worth opening. And this is contrary to my advice moving forward, but it's worth opening like maybe just even 1. Like, let's see what you get. Let's see if you get Spider-Ham if you're missing a couple of them. So you give it a 4 stars. I'm going to probably give it a 3 myself because there's no new card. But if you're all in on Galactus, dude, who am I kidding? Like, there you go. There's your cards right there. This is a good week of cards. You know, just basic cards. It's a 5-star week if we're not looking at new cards.
For me, the real winner here is Spider-Ham. I think the Spider-Ham's what you want. And if you had not picked up Spider-Ham before, this is your chance. And Galactus is a big bad. It's never coming down in value with the tokens. It just makes sense. But also, I'm just going to throw it out there. It had to be that like ultimate style Nimrod. Like, look at that Nimrod variant.
Dude,
like, you're right.
right?
They knew what they were doing.
And
These variants are insane.
They're all insane. And dude, I'm a sucker for these new variants. Like, the fact that they're not rotating the next cycle is so cool. Like, they're truly rare. These things are going to be rare. Guys, there's a lot that goes into this. The next subject's going to make a lot of sense. if you buy variants from the shop and you're getting those 2,000 tokens, if you have an excess of tokens, that's why I don't think you get this, even if you don't have Spider-Ham, because he's still only 3,000 tokens. That's my thought on it. But if you're like strictly free to play, that's where it's different. So it does depend on your token influx. Don't worry if you're waiting for me to complain. You're going to hear it. But anyway, okay, like the rankings. Let's go to the next one. And we have our first new card, Lady Deathstrike MODOK Stature. Man, this is a hot one. And the variants, I think, are okay.
This to me feels like the 2-star week where maybe you gamble a little bit. I think the variants are passable here. I take you on that one. I do like the Stature one, honestly, with the little kitty. Lady Deathstrike, I think, is a cool card. I think that it does something really interesting. I can't wait to get my hands on it, but very niche, but obviously extremely potentially punishing, right? MODOK is an absolutely required discard card. I don't care what anyone says. Playing discard without MODOK feels like absolute just garbage heap. And Stature was a formerly absolute top tier meta card, and it's come down a bit. So Stature's going to get another activator in the future, actually. But I think this is one of the weaker weeks, to be honest with you, Cozy. But I do like the Lady Deathstrike.
Lady Deathstrike she's going to feel really good. She's going to feel really bad. That's going to be her play and snap. There's ways to buff her, make her crazy. If you are getting the season pass, this is a 4-star week. I think Lady Deathstrike has good synergy with Dakin, and Dakin's going to be absolutely crazy. You got to be missing MODOK and or Stature. If you're missing MODOK, I think this is a no-brainer, because a discard, man, talk about, I don't care if we're talking free-to-play friendly decks on your side and we can't say Series 4 or 5. MODOK is one of the most free-to-play friendly decks if you just get MODOK, because you have almost all the other pieces to make an incredible deck that's still good. Reliable discard is still a good deck. It's going to be a good deck. MODOK is good. Stature has the good cards deck that is highly, highly consistent. It's only struggling at the moment because of bounce. And then now we're going to have more cards coming up here in a moment that could be better. I'm going to give this probably a 3.5, 4, somewhere in that area. It feels good to me. This is definitely a Dakin week, though, if you do have the card. This Lady Deathstrike variant, by the way, is hot, dude. My God. The baby MODOK was an interesting pick.
I don't think there's anything you can do to a MODOK variant that doesn't make it look completely stupid. I still think that the one where he looks like he's shooting fire out of his Poland is probably the best one.
I thought you said his hole. I was like, I mean, you're not wrong. I like it. Okay, so that's your lower star week. Oh man, X23 Nebula Silk. Now, if you don't know what X23 does, I'll just go ahead and just say it in a line. She's ridiculous. She is the premier card of the month. I'll go first, Alex. No problem. 5-star. This is a 5-star week, in my opinion, even with Silk. If you have Nebula, it does go down a little bit. Silk is better than people give her credit for. This one was difficult because if you have Nebula, it's kind of hard because you are playing with fire. But X23, man, if you want to save up for one new card, that's the card you want to save up for.
I agree. This is a 5-star. I think X23 is by far the best card coming out until Loki. Pretty much. Like, I think that it could challenge up until Loki. I think this is insane. I think it's basically power creep on Psylocke. I think this is going to send your Arnhem Nola list to the moon and like just beyond, because this is going to be such an activator for Destroy. When I saw this card, I was like, yes, this is the one. This is the one that Destroy's been looking for. But not just that, let's not forget there is a discard line in there too. There's a discard line in there too, and I think that that's something that might get like kind of missed on here. There's a lot in X23 that I love.
There's so much with this card. The amount of energy you're going to be able to have now, it's wild, man. It's wild. This card's going to be so good. Destroy is going to be an absolute force. If you have, let's say, Nebula, that's where it can be a bit tough. The variants are pretty good. I like the X23 is a banger. The Silk is like, mamma mia.
Silk's amazing.
Yeah. But I will say that X23 is one of those rare cards that kind of hold the value in itself. This is going to feel like one of those feel-bad weeks because everybody just wants a new card on this week. Like, Silk is fine, Nebula's cool. This is going to be one of those cards where if you get it the first pull, I'm going to be jealous. I'm going to be so jealous. If you look back, if we go back real quick, and let's say the majority of people are pulling on this Legion High Evo Darkhawk week, dude, don't buy anything, guys. Don't buy anything until that week because you have enough time to save up to guarantee an X23. And hopefully your luck isn't that bad and you can just open a couple of them and end up getting the new card. So solid week. I love it, man. Probably 4.55. Really good week. 829. Silver Samurai. Kitty Pride, Spider 2099. Now, Silver Samurai has been getting a little bit of heat for not being a great card. I think he's good. I don't... Targeted discard, dude. I don't know why that would not be fantastic. Zabu. Hello. Stature. Ways to stack this against your opponent. I like the card. However, Mr. Alex, I'll go first. That's fine. If you have Kitty Pride, stay the hell away from this week.
Yep. 100%.
That's my thought, right? Like a 1-star, right? Yeah.
Yeah. If you have Kitty, which pretty much everyone does, this is the week you're saving up tokens. And it's sad because I actually like Silver Samurai. I've seen some hate online. I think you're right. And I'm like, no, man, think about it. You Zabu. Okay. Echo turn 1. Okay. Zabu turn 2. You Wong turn 3 behind the Echo. Hey, Wong's protected. Then you Silver Samurai. Right? You Black Bolt. What do they have left? You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's some value there. But I think you're right. I think that this is the week though that you ultimately save, because Spider-Man 2099 was probably, I mean, we all were really excited about this card. It underdelivered. It's still good. I still think it's good. I've won games with Spider-Man 2099. I still like the card, but pretty much everyone has Kitty Pride, and Spider 99 is not the one that we thought it was. And Silver Samurai, it's a very, very niche card. I think you're saving.
I'm going to get the new card, but yeah, for the majority, stay away. If you have Kitty, stay the hell away. And also, I would be shocked if Kitty was not nerfed by then. Can we talk about this Gundam freaking silver variant too? That's so sick. Lastly, first week of September. It's still in the August season. Actually, no, this would be a season pass release week here. You have Jeff, Ghost Spider, and Noel. Different Noel variant. They're all cool. Spoiler alert. Cool Ghost Spider. Jeff, even though it's Dan Hip, not too crazy on it. What do you give this? It's a tough one. Your boy Jeff's in it.
You know what? I hate this one. I hate it. This is an F tier week, not because the cards aren't good. I'm a believer of Ghost Spider. I think people are sleeping on it like crazy. I was running Ghost Spider Iron Man bounce list where I was moving the Iron Man on turn 5 to kind of juke people. It was awesome. I love Jeff so much. I use Jeff in almost every deck I can. But, like, do we have to repeat Null again? Like, did Null have to get repeated? So now you have a week where if anybody that's been engaging with the system has a card that they should already have. Ghost Spider's a season pass card, and Jeff, it's
just BS, man. Why have Nolan here? You got a Hitmonkey. You have so many cards that could have gone on another rotation. Jeff's a good card. I think you skip him. And, like, man, they whiffed not putting him out on Shark Week. That was a bummer.
I think part of it is that, like, you're having Loki drop. And so there's going to be a ton of excitement there. So they're probably trying to spread out the hype. Because if you have a hype week on the spotlights and you have Loki coming, then it's like, okay, well, we're wasting press time, you know?
Yeah, but I can tell you right now, you want every single mother effing card in September. You want them all. You want every single one. There's not one you don't want. They're all good. And so I can't even think of the week you'd want to skip. Maybe Mobius, but he's stupid good too. So yeah, I would also say if you guys just save up and you only get X23 and you skip everything else, I still think if you have Dakin and X23, that's fine. That's all you need. And then you go into September just hot. You go in there hot. Because if someone were to ask me who's kind of more free to play, I would say hold strong, brother man, until September. Because it's going to be a good time. All right, we ranked them all. We're going to go to our last subject, probably the most important. This was the thumbnail of the Snapchat. We're going to be talking about Spotlight Caches, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They've been out about a week. I've got a lot to say. I was actually going to make a whole independent video, and then I was like, no, I'll just slam it into the Snapchat. So, my friend, let's talk about the good. We're going to start here, then go to the bad, and progressively get to what we hate about the new system. So, new system is out. Old system is gone. Some people were able to double dip and get that. I was stupid enough. I didn't. I just went right into it. Did you end up being able to get both?
No, I chose to just do it the good old-fashioned update right away, make content way.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I was on a plane and didn't even think about it. I was like, okay, let's go. I got the Spotlight Caches. So let's start with the good, and I think we can both agree. Not a whole lot, but the good is still good. I think the system is not... it's not even, like, to say it's impossible. Dude, it's not that bad. The bad is ugly. The bad is very ugly. But the system is going to be able to be fixed if they, A, act on it quickly, and 2, they do patch these certain things that the community that people are passionate about.
I agree. I think that this is overall a very positive step in the right direction. We do see the acquisition of more cards. I think the variant acquisition can't be slept on either. They're damn good. I think that there is value there. 75% of the time, it is a very good cash pull and you feel great. The other 25% of the time, we'll have to discuss a little later. But what I will say, though, is that we've made constant progress in this collection system. And I think that's important. We used to get boosters in these damn collector's reserves. That's gone. And then we had kind of we're not opening Series 5 cards or Series 4 cards. That's been improved. But ultimately, yes, we're getting more cards. And that is a good thing.
I can respect that this is just better for newer players at the moment, and that's probably where their focus is at. I think the complaints are probably coming from the seasoned vets here, or the people that are running out of cards and it just feeling bad a lot of the times. And we're going to talk about plenty of stuff later. But it's just weird as far as like even a business front, right? It's like the oldest saying in the book. It is so much harder to bring on a new customer, even a player, than to retain an old one. And you got to respect your seasoned vets a little bit, right? Like you don't want to just kind of crap on the people that have been pumping into the game. But you know what I will say, and this isn't it either, they're going to have to figure out how to boost the collection process for newer players, because new players will be coming with PC launch.
Yeah, there's no question that like developing a game like this, a game as a service like they're developing, is hard. And I want to give credit where it's due. They're doing the best they can, and they've done a really good job improving the game since what it was in beta. But there are some missteps here. But you know what? At the end of the day, I do have faith that they will rectify our concerns for the most part. And that they listen, they want to make the best game they can. They want their game to be the best game on the planet. And I think they're going to commit their resources to do that.
I just want to know, like, we're never going to know this, but I want to know their business goals, right? Like, I want to know, like, I don't call people like greedy company. I'm not going to go there. But my thought process is, I feel like personally, the variants have to be making so much. And like, again, for those that don't make games or know anything about it, the amount of money that has to go to Marvel as an IP is a huge percentage, and then to the App Store, the Steam, or to Google, that's another hot, big percentage, so they're taking home 50-60% after that. But even with that, right, like, isn't that a lot? Isn't that enough? I want to know the business behind it, right? Because I feel like if they continue to lean into that and put their time into customization of avatars, emotes, cards, UI, and lean into that more, and then let players play the game with the cards, like that to me seems like the perfect answer. But that's where I just don't know, right? I'm not a part of these shareholder meetings. It's just something I'm so curious about, you know.
It is curious, and all I know is that like variants are expensive. Like the 1,200 gold variants, like you convert those to Canadian dollars, it's not cheap. Like that is like literally like that's marriage counseling stuff. My wife finds out how much money I've spent on little pixel art that I don't actually own. Like that is not good. I'm telling you right now, Cozy. She doesn't listen to this podcast anyway. But like, I'm just telling you that like, seriously, it's expensive.
Which it's fine for that to be expensive, right? Like playing with the Hulk or something in Fortnite is fine. It is fine if you want to get that, right? It's fine. Which is the perfect middle ground because it's no advantage to the player. Like that's where I feel like the visual lean into the visual. Like people are going to buy them. People are going to buy variants because they're too cool. So lean into that is my thought process to kind of wrap up the good.
And I'm Cozy. I'm running out, buddy. I'm running out of gas here with the good. You're gonna have to help me out.
Is it not a good day to be a Marvel Snap player? Yeah, no. So okay. I want to say we'll talk about it more in the ugly, but like for an easy fix. First of all, I do want to say July has it's not the coolest new cards, okay? But let's fast forward to September. Right, where every new card in there is cool. Every new card's great, right? We just talked about them a little bit. They're all great. If they were to make this right here not be a duplicate, and or they fix the duplicate system, which we'll talk about, and this was just a S4, S5 card that you don't have, or you got a lot of kickback in tokens, I think I like the system, right? Because you got, let's say you got Loki, you got Jeff, you got Stegron, and then a random card that you don't have, or 2,000 collector tokens. 1 in 4 chance, you're getting something good. I think it's fine. Like, no matter what, you're getting something pretty good for the most part.
You are right. We've made improvements to what is one of the most important systems in Marvel Snap.
Yeah, when I say it's like it's a change, it's a big change. Like, that is a massive, ugly change they've got to fix. Loki didn't work in that example because he's a season pass card for those that are going to go in and comment. But you know what I mean. I think that what I didn't want to see, and I think they've done okay here looking at this, we just looked at them, right? Is that there's not like a glaring, like super bad card in a week, right? I think this week is a tough one, man, because it's like Echo, and then Iron Laddie's so cool, and then what is it, Kang, right?
Kang.
But then you look at a week like Darkhawk, High Evo, and Legion. That's kind of cool, man. That's a pretty good week right there. It's just tough on the weeks like, and it's gonna there's gonna be really good weeks and there's gonna be really bad weeks in this system. And I feel like we're gonna have a really cool new card come out. Let's go to September again. Like, let's say Mobius comes out, and like, what if he comes out with like Snowguard and I don't know. I was gonna say Negasonic. I'm pretty sure, you know, Shayna. I don't know. Then you're like, damn. That's really gonna suck because you have a really good, like, Echo's passable. You know what I mean? Like, I saw a tweet, someone's like, man, it took me 4 polls to get Jean Grey. F the new system. It's like, yeah, but you know how many people got Jean Grey on their first poll? You know how easy that was compared to 6,000 collector tokens? RNG is gonna be RNG. But I don't like that we've moved to that, really, right? And I guess we can transition to the bad. My last good statement, I guess, if we were talking good, is I do think they nailed these ultimate spotlight variants. I think they're really cool. I love that they don't shuffle to the same one each time. Like, Noel is repeating. It's a different one. They truly feel exclusive. I think that's kind of cool. Premiums that they got rid of the mystery variant. There's so much ugly around it. I can't even say that's good. And yeah, I think outside of getting more new cards, you can for me, I can upgrade cards now and get excited, I guess, about opening a spotlight, kind of, but not. It's so, dude, it's so... Let's go to the bad. Let's go to the bad. What is something that is not your most hated thing, but you definitely aren't a fan of?
Okay, I definitely don't like the fact that even looking at your screen right now, this is what Cozy has available. Oh, one of the goods, by the way, the UI. They did a good job on the UI. Bad, definitely, you have a Jean Grey variant that's available to you, and then you have a premium spotlight cache, a premium spotlight variant, sorry, another premium spotlight variant, and then the random series 4 or 5 garbage tier, right? So the problem with this is, like, you're in a situation where you literally cannot roll for that Jean Grey, because you are 75% more likely to get just garbage. Yeah. That Jean Grey variant is gone. They should make it so that the mystery variants are only available once you've exhausted the rewards from that cash week. There is no reason why you should not be able to get that Jean Grey variant. It really bothers me that it's being kind of muddled with garbage for no reason. It should just be that you should be able to access all the available rewards, and then those premium mystery variants get put into play.
Yeah, so I'll say, yeah, I agree. Like, for sure, right? Like, this should be my next spot. Like, I have one. I think this needs to be my next spotlight. If I clicked it, it should be it. Instead, it's complete garbage. Also, I get it. I know this is for a whale. I know this is for like a whale. This is a whale problem. I appreciate the premium variants, sure. The only people getting those, right? The only people getting those are whales. So why not make those collector tokens at that point? Because they're spending for that anyway. So you're getting what you want anyway as a company. So, like, that's where it's confusing. It's like, this is so unattractive. Why would I ever open any of these? Or make these, and this is controversial, like ultimate. I don't know. Who's going to open those? I encourage no one, even if you're spending an obscene amount of money, to do that. Or, like, dude, if it's a pool 3, like, choose your own pool 3 card. I don't know, something other than not a pixel, but still can be a baby Angela variant, you know, like, it just not great. Other bad, you know, I would say hoarding, that the fact that they're encouraging, we're doing more hoarding, right? And I'm going to say this, they did say that if it's not good, they're going to fix it. I do think we're going to fix a lot of this stuff, but it's just funny that some of this in practice, it didn't make sense to add these and then, like, mess these up. It just didn't make sense. So bad, there's a lot of bad, but I think we got even more ugly, and I think we could just both go all in here, right? I'm sure I'm going to steal your words, so I won't steal it all. Collector reserves and the mystery stuff going on here. I'll start here, then we'll talk collector reserves. This guy right here. Oh my gosh, I got scared. I clicked on the spotlight. Dude, I had Noel and this left. And I have all the cards, so, like, I already knew what was going to happen, kind of thing. And I got Galactus, which if I didn't have Galactus, man, that'd be sick. But I have Galactus. And instead, I got a baby Angela. A baby Angela. For a lot of caches, which could have been a Jean Grey, let's say, right? To me, I could go all up in arms. This is just dumb. I'm not even gonna, like, go crazy here. I'm just gonna say, this is ugly. This is ugly. This doesn't need to happen. Some form of me can understand you could pull Galactus if you already have Galactus. I get that, I guess, because of the system and how it's gonna work. However, Overwatch does it perfectly. All I want is half of the tokens it costs to buy the card. If it was an S4 card that you got randomly and you already have it, congratulations, you're going to get 1,500 tokens. If it's a Galactus, I want 3,000 collector tokens. I wouldn't have cared at all. But a variant just does, dude, it just doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it justice. You got to do, if they make that change, man, I'll shut up. I think I'm almost happy enough. Like, just give me half the collector tokens, dude. That's a massive increase.
You have absolutely nailed one of the biggest problems with the system. So when I was doing my opening, I literally opened the 3 cards back to back, and it was just this left. I'm like, hey guys, I just high rolled because I don't have to open this garbage. I'm like, but you know what? For content, I have to do it. Let's see what we're gonna get. I went 120 collection levels, opened this. I got a null, which would have been fine, whatever, right? Null, okay, but I already have null, obviously. I converted it into a 700 gold Forge variant. Which, let's just say if I was, no, if and under any circumstances, it's a piss off. This is the biggest misfire of the whole thing. Because what you're going to do is you're going to make a 25% chance, especially for free-to-play players and players who, you know, might only open 1 or 2 caches, right? They can low roll this garbage and literally uninstall the game.
Yes.
It's not worth it. It is not worth the nickel and diming. This, okay, the premium mystery variants I can appreciate. There is no conceivable reason why I should be getting a 700 gold variant from a spotlight cache. There is no defense. There's none. It shouldn't be happening.
I got the Baby Angela, and if I didn't get the tokens, right, that's one thing. But I already got Jean Grey and Null before that. The free-to-play that are just like, they're sweating, they just want Jean Grey so bad. But you know, luck is going to be on their side another season. I get it. But for that person to just open one cache they worked for, and it's a Baby Angela. I'm just going to keep saying that because that's or a 700 Forge instead of a Jean Grey, whatever. Just massive disconnect. If that's 3,000 tokens though, man, because you had it was null, so that would have been still 1,500 tokens, whatever. You're still making progress towards, ooh, now you get to pick your own card if you got a couple more bad luck. Sometimes people might even want the bad luck. Sometimes people might just want the tokens, right? Like, that might be how it works out. It's the 1 in 4. Sure, have some RNG, but make the... You can't have one that's just a complete dumpster fire of a pull, you know? And I get it. For those that don't have a massive S4, S5 collection, like you're listening, we have plenty of listeners, guys. Our listeners go from every end of the spectrum at the Snapchat. Then, yeah, you're probably getting a lot of good S4, S5 cards. It's honestly incentivizing you to skip a whole month of spotlight caches, though, so that you have more in the bank to pull a random one instead of these, you know, bad variants. This is the #1 offender. They gotta fix this. This is garbage. Complete garbage. Let's move on. Leave feedback. This is where it happens, guys. Just, hey, listen, when I worked at hotels and I had the guy screaming at me in my face at the front desk, that guy wasn't getting an upgrade. I don't care what anniversary you're celebrating. But the guy that logically came up and said, this is why this is garbage. Why is there blood on a pillow in my hotel room? Whatever the hell, these are true stories. Like, I'm like, oh my God, dude, that's terrible. I'm so sorry about that. Let me help you out, right? Go to, do what you want to do, but go to the Discord and just say your piece. Say, hey guys, this isn't feeling right. X, Y, Z, Y. This is a personal experience that I went through, and this is why. This is what happened. This is why it feels bad. You're going to get a lot more, I think, listener eyes on that than creating flames, and scorched earth. That being said, absolutely. Hold on, let me go with my little button here. Collector reserves now. What's the point of opening these things, man, huh?
The collector's reserves are completely just garbage heaps. They're not even worth opening. I'd be willing to say I could go the rest of my career Marvel Snap not opening a single collector's reserve. Not only would I not notice, I wouldn't even care because they don't matter. They are so irrelevant. And the worst part about it is when I'm upgrading my cards and I'm watching the collector's things tick up, I'm waiting 120 collection levels before I even feel anything at all. I am a numb human being until I reach 120 collection level. It means nothing. There's so much empty space in the collection track as it is. You're getting boosters, you're getting credits, and then you're getting garbage, absolute refuse from these collector's reserves. They're useless. Just get rid of them. Who cares? I don't even want them anymore.
We go back to, you didn't have to take something away to add something. The gold situation. I appreciate weekend missions. 15 missions is what you said for to do. 15 missions with Phoenix Force is a joke. You know, the Patriot one was cool, thematic, okay, whatever. The token missions are fine. There's stuff in Conquest now. That's great and all and dandy. But the core experience that you've wanted from the game is upgrade your cards to get more cards and upgrade to get rewards. And these have just lost their value. Now, for those that are in Pool 3, you do get Pool 3 cards. And that actually kind of probably feels pretty good because you know what you're getting S4 and S5-wise. You know when you're getting those cards, right? But they should not have removed all chances for anyone else to get random S4, S5s. I know it was a lottery pull. Can't remember the last time I got one. But it was still there. It still existed. I really missed free-to-play being able to get gold, hold it, and buy a bundle when they needed to. Bro, 50 to 100 collector tokens. It's like getting a 50-cent scratch-off ticket or something, I don't know, and you get 50 cents, and you're like, I'm not even going to go back in the gas station to redeem this thing. Like, whatever. I don't know. That was just the first example I could think of. 50 collector tokens is so bad, man. It's so minuscule.
It's basically nothing. It's like they don't exist at all. And they pretty much basically don't. Like, anybody that has to wait months in order to meaningfully buy a card without spending money, that's insane. Literally months to buy a Series 5 card. It's ridiculous. Now, they are doing some more series direct to Series 4, but even 3,000 tokens, Cozy, is an immense amount of caches. Like, it's crazy how many reserves you have to open to get to even 3,000. And what you said before about getting the duplicate and getting half the value back is an incredible solution. But obviously they've done the math where it's like, well, maybe people are going to finish their collections too fast or whatever.
Pretty much the advice I have is you don't need every new card. You don't. You can skip them. You don't need Echo. Might be cool in reveal decks. Unless you play reveal decks, don't get Echo. You're going to want to make sure that you open up when you can only open up for now all 4. Like, if you want a card, right? If you want Jean Grey stuff, it's the first one, right? If you want, let's fast forward and go to one of the Loki cards. If you guarantee want that card and you know which one you want, you don't want to have like 2 and roll the dice. It's just better to wait and to have 4. That's the advice that I would give for these for the time being. If you get one that you like right off the bat, you stop. Don't be greedy. You're done. You don't need to do another one, right? It's like knowing when to walk away from the casino table. Like, you just... And then I hate that we even have to F and say that, right? But that is the truth right now. You want to make sure that you save up for the weeks that you really want. You don't need all the new cards. The fact that Reliable Patriot is a thing I'm going to talk about on your channel here in just a moment. It's fine. It's still a good deck. You don't have to have them all. But if you play a lot of Surfer and you want Jean, save all 4. And that's going to be probably my biggest advice surrounding right now the current system. And so, altogether, a lot of changes, Alex. A lot of things that we can look forward to that I know that Second Dinner, that they should be able to make it right here. And hopefully they hop on sooner rather than later. That was the first thing I told them. Don't take forever with the changes. Really hope they get on it. And you know what, guys? Again, I think last week we talked about our most hated cards. Now we're here. You know, maybe we've stepped down to all the positivity all the time. And as Alex said, it's still a great week to be a Marvel Snap player. But let's just get this right. Let's get this right. Gameplay's on point. Let's make sure the game's on point as well. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode of the Snapchat. We're going to be going over to Alex's side of the channel to talk about the best free-to-play friendly infinite decks, archetypes in need of love, and the top 10 surprise cards. Both of us listing our top 10 separately. Looking forward to that one more than anybody. Guys, good luck with Echo if you do get her. And as always, until the next one, happy snapping.